Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Students Homeopathy and let's learn together. Kant's philosophy is one of the important manuscripts of homeopathy. Understanding Kant's philosophy increases one's depth and acumen in homeopathy. In this video, we will discuss lecture 4 from Kant's philosophy. In this chapter, Dr. Kant has discussed fixed principles and law and government from center. In chapter 4, Dr. Kant has explained the Aphorism 4 of Organon of Medicine along with a part from Aphorism 3. As we know, the requisite qualities of a true practitioner of healing art as mentioned in Aphorism 3 of Organon of Medicine are: first, knowledge of disease; second, knowledge of medicinal powers; third, knowledge of how to adapt the above two knowledge according to clearly defined principles, or we can call the choice of remedy according to clearly defined principles or fixed principles. Fourth, knowledge of proper dose including repetition. Fifth, knowledge of obstacles to recovery and how to remove them, which is explained in aphorism number 4. In chapter 3 of Kant's philosophy, the first 2 points have already been explained. You might have watched our video on chapter 3 of Kant's philosophy. Now, in this chapter, that is chapter 4, the third point specifically the subject related to the fixed principle, and the fifth point, that is knowledge of obstacles to recovery and how to remove them, has been discussed. However, in this part 1 video, we will discuss the point fixed principle of the 4th chapter. And in a subsequent video, we will discuss the point knowledge of obstacles to recovery and how to remove them. So, now let's discuss fixed principles. Kant has emphasized 2 points here. First is experience. He tells experience is the foundation of the old school of medicine. Second is the laws or principles or doctrines, which are the foundations of homeopathy. Coming to experience, according to Kant, experience has a place in science, but it is only to confirm the discoveries already made through principle or law guiding in the proper direction. Means, individually, experience leads to no discoveries, but experience confirms the discoveries made through proper principles or laws. For example, we know the proving symptoms of bryonia and we have prescribed bryonia based on symptom similarity and the patient got cured. Now, the symptoms of bryonia will be strongly established in our mind and the law of similia will also be verified and firmly confirmed. That means, we have verified how bryonia removed the same symptoms in patients which it produces during drug proving in healthy persons. By this process, the experience confirmed the law, here the law of similia. However, people who have no doctrines, no truth, no law, imagine that they discovered this by experience. This is true about the old-fashioned medicine who calls them the medicine of experience. They call it science, which they settle upon by comparing their experiences and construct a series of inventions and theories out of only experience. This is the wrong direction. Their doctrines change every year. They deny something now, which they accepted earlier. That is why Kant has rightly called them as kaleidoscopic or quickly changing. Now, coming to laws or principles or doctrines. The science of medicine must be built on a true foundation, that is, upon fixed principles or laws or doctrines. Law or principles are valid, but there is no man valid. Thus, homeopaths should rely on fixed principles but not on experiences. One would never make theories if he has the true conception of law and doctrine, order and government. He can clearly see what the truth is. True observations under law and principle differ from one's experiences who has no law and no principle. To know the law of disease progression or cure, it is necessary to know about the internal order and government. We have already discussed about the government of man in chapter 3 of Kant's philosophy in our video on chapter 3. Here, let's get a brief idea. The internal government of man helps to know how the disease develops and travels. For illustration, any great disturbance upon the government at the capital will be felt to the circumference of the nation like lightning. But if one of the courts at the periphery disturbs, it does not disturb the country or the constitutional government. If the government is good, everybody is benefited from it, and if it is evil, the whole country becomes shaken and disturbed. The order or direction in the internal government of man is also the same, that is, center to periphery. That means from cerebrum to the cerebellum and then to the spinal cord. When taken more collectively orally, it is like this, from brain to spinal cord and then to nerves. Considered more internally, it is like this, from will and understanding, which is the voluntary principle, to vital force or wise reason of the soul, which is the limbus or soul stuff or simple substance or formative substance and is immaterial, then to material body. We have this order of direction in every cell. Every cell in man has its will and understanding, its soul stuff or limbus or simple substance and its material substance. All true diseases of the economy flow from center to circumference, from within out, from the seat of government to the outermost. There is no inward flow. So cure must be from within out. Also, only those drug substances which are prepared in a form to do this from center to circumference can produce or cure the disease. Everything in man and everything that takes place in man flows in this direction, that is from center to circumference. For example, even a torn finger due to external violence will soon get repaired by the directions traveling in the same order, that is primarily from the cerebrum. Injuries are external violence, but diseases are internal disorders performing violence. The causes of disease, that is miasms, are very refined and subtle in nature. The miasms are imperceptible and their existence cannot be discovered by man's eye, by his finger or by any of his senses. They can only be perceived by their results when they come to the circumference. So, medicine should also be of this nature, and that is why Kant has pointed out here about the necessity of potentization. Man's skin is a protective envelope which does not permit contagion from coarser materials during perfect health. That means, as long as the man is in perfect order and harmony and tissue are in a healthy state, there can be no disease. When the order of internal government is disturbed, the skin becomes unguarded and allows contagions to enter. However, the tissue changes or the morbid anatomy like pus cells and the various forms of degeneration are only the results of disease. They are not the disease itself. However, the old school assumes the tissue changes as a real disease. That is why Kant has called their study of etiology a wonderful farce, because it begins with nothing. These are only the signs and symptoms, and all curable diseases makes themselves known to the physician by the same. In other words, the existence of a disease can only be perceived through signs and symptoms. There is no other way. This is the reason why very often the incurable diseases reach very precarious conditions as they manifest no external signs or symptoms. So let's summarize the things we have discussed till now. Homeopathy is founded on laws or principles or doctrines, while the old school is founded on experience. Discoveries are made through proper principles or laws. Experience leads to no discoveries, it only confirms them. Old-fashioned medicine calls itself the medicine of experience. Old school assumes the tissue changes as real disease. Internal order and government in man acts from center to periphery. It is also the same as the disease progression or cure. True diseases can only be perceived by signs and symptoms. There is no other way. The causes of disease, that is miasms, are very refined and subtle in nature, so the medicine should also be of this nature, that is potentized. As long as the man is in a perfect order and harmony and tissue are in a healthy state, we can call it homeostasis according to modern pathology. There can be no disease. Incurable diseases manifest no external signs or symptoms, thus they progress towards destruction. So that's all for this video. We will discuss the remaining part of chapter 4 in a subsequent video. So we welcome your feedback and comments. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please subscribe it now and also click on the bell icon and select all so that you will not miss any more informative, educational and interesting videos on homeopathy. Thank you for watching.